Back on ABC24 this week, joined by ABC24 political analyst Otis Sanford, Chris Tudor, former chairman of the Shelby County Republican Party, and Reverend Kenneth Whalen, pastor of New Olivet Worship Center. Thanks, all three of you. Let's first talk about the interview we just did here with the state rep. Just your quick impressions, and do you believe him that he's not running for Congress in 24? Otis, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I believe he's not running in 2024.
Should have asked 26.
You should have asked 26. But I do think that whenever Steve Cohen decides to give it up, and I don't know when that is, it may be 2026, you're going to see Justin J. Pearson out there, because this man is dynamic, and I'm not saying that as a political statement. I'm saying that as a fact. This man has captured the imagination, especially of young voters, and is energizing people.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think he's poised. I think he's well-spoken. When's the last time you've heard of a Tennessee state representative going on Good Morning America? When's the last time that's happened? So he has a national profile, and I do believe he's sincere about 2024. But like Otis said, I think you should have. I think you should have asked about 2026. I think he would have demurred on that. I really do.
Right, yeah.
I really do.
You may have a point. Reverend Whalen, your thoughts?
I'll repeat what I said to him. I'm just very proud of him. That's my impression of him, is that as, I guess, an elder now, I can look at him and say we're in good hands. I'm proud of him.
Would you say the same thing about the Memphis-Shelby County School Board?
No.
Okay, I just thought it'd be a nice segue into
no.
the next topic.
No.
Look, it has been a mess this week, including the resignation of board member Sheleah Harris. We had those mic issues there. Okay. And she resigned, up and quit in the middle of the meeting as they were trying to vote on new qualifications for the superintendent we have yet to hire 10 months in. That whole process is a mess too, but she said she'd had enough. She called it the highest level of ignorance. In fact, she was quoted as saying on this later when people asked her to kind of explain what she meant. She said, "When I said this was the highest level of ignorance, I meant there are too many people who know about the corruption but are not standing up to make any changes." She said there was corruption when it comes to misconduct with contracts that the school system has signed. She feels that the administration in particular is very top-heavy. And she also said that she has felt that the superintendent search in particular has been manipulated. It is amazing how much of that, what has changed in terms of the superintendent search, Reverend Whalen, and you're the former school board member here, has worked in the favor of Tony Williams, who is the interim superintendent. And a lot of people feel the fix is in as far as that's concerned. What are your thoughts about how this is going?
Let me say that I identify with Ms. Harris in her statement. In fact, when I heard her say, "This is the highest level of ignorance I have ever been a part of me said, amen, because I have been where she sat. And it's hard to express the depth of ignorance. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I mean, you can have several degrees and still be ignorant. You can not know what you're doing. And that is the case. It has been the case on the school board that they collectively have not done what they were elected to do. Now, with regard to the statement about corruption, I can't imagine that you would make such a statement without having something to back the statement up. I just can't imagine that. Certainly she wouldn't say it if she didn't have some proof of that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. Now, finally, on the issue of interim superintendent Tony Williams, unless and until Tony Williams withdraws as a candidate for the full-time superintendent's position.
Which, by the way, she promised she had no interest in initially.
Which is why we're in the position that we're in. Unless and until she withdraws as a candidate, the superintendent search has no credibility, zero credibility.
All right. Well, apparently there is some there when it comes to board member Harris's allegations, because there was a response that came from the Memphis-Shelby County Schools. They said under interim superintendent Tony Williams, MSCS has implemented several corrective actions, including those detailed in Sheleah Harris's critical needs assessment. In the fall, Williams also issued a letter to all vendors in order to ensure compliance with Shelby County School Board policies and procedures and to share the district's goal of strict adherence to federal, state, and local governance. Like I was told, Representative Pearson, I've been covering politics for a long time. I've been covering school boards for a long time too. Lots of red flags go off with a comment like that. To me, that there's some malfeasance probably that's being addressed and probably still needs to be addressed. What are your thoughts, Mr. Tudor?
Yeah, that's a pretty strong allegation. We'll see, if there's corroboration, substantiation. I think the real tragedy here is that we have a school system that has a lot of headwinds. And I'm just hoping that the superintendent search, we can get back to business. Maybe this is a fresh start, but the kids are the priority. The kids are the focus.
From the 30,000-foot view, it's just tragic that we've got kids here who the district hasn't had a leader, and the one that is the leader has used the word lied. Has lied. She said she didn't want the position, and so that, you got to feel for what's going on in the larger scope of things.
We've got big issues. I mean, we've just talked about the TCAP scores. We've got potential new construction of schools on the horizon. The children are the purpose. They're the reason. We need a superintendent.
Yeah. Otis?
Well, I mean, there's so much to unpack with all of this. I agree with a lot of what Ken and Chris said. I disagree with just a little, and I'll tell you what I disagree with. I'm not sure that it was productive for Ms. Harris to say in the public meeting that this is the highest level of ignorance. That was a kind of insulting statement. Now, we agree, or I agree, that there has been dysfunction. And the inability to coalesce around some goals for picking the next superintendent. We agree that there may be some fixes in for Ms. Williams. It could be that. But I just think that was an unproductive statement to make. And the level of corruption, it would have been better to me if she had said specifically what you're talking about. Is it a specific contract? Is it a specific something that we can put our heads on? I just think that there's some allegations thrown out here without any backup that goes with it.
Yeah, as a person who sat on the school board for 8 years and tried to get things done, as one person out of 9, if you can't reach accommodation with 4 other people to get positive action, then you are in a constant state of frustration. I think it's important that she said for her health, she couldn't stay. Mm-hmm. And when people start talking about their mental health or their physical health, I don't blame you. If you can't perform in that position and maintain your health, you need to get out. But I think there are still questions that need to be answered with regard to the charges that she made.
I agree, and I understand her frustration. Everybody should be frustrated by how dysfunctional this whole thing has been. I'm just saying that to level that, she obviously, I've seen a lot of high levels of ignorance. I'm not sure that applies here. I do think dysfunction and inability to get things done does apply. That's all I'm saying.
So there's one board member I wonder if she's wishing that she had also resigned this week, and that's the candidate for mayor, Michelle McKissick, because when you look at what a laughingstock the school board has become, how does your candidacy get taken seriously when you're part of a governmental body that nobody seems to have a lot of respect for at this point?
Well, I think that is the situation with Michelle, candidate McKissick, and Sheriff Bonner, in my eyes, is similar. Floyd Bonner is responsible for 201 Poplar. 201 Poplar is in a mess, it's in a shambles, but you want to be the mayor of the city. Similarly, the school system is in a mess, it's in a shambles. You as a school board commissioner are partly responsible for that, but you want to lead the city. I think that kind of thing is what voters have to take into account, and especially black voters. We got to grow up, we got to mature, and do what Representative that just left the show, Pearson, what he said, and that is elect people who have demonstrated a proclivity and ability to administer government functions.
Now, we should mention that you do have a horse in the mayor's race that you have backed. Paul Young,
Absolutely,
Paul Young is your guy.
But yes, Paul Young is my guy.
Some perspective there. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about proposals to raise your taxes, and not by a little either, in just a moment.